Burke's on his feet. He looks up and gives me a grin and says,
Hey dude, you too must be from Marin.
Marin County's A-OK, from Tampa, Stinson, all the way to MA. Fresh organic veggies in the market every day. The Dennis, Dylan, and NWA.
Hello, this is the Run the Marin County, the Run TMC podcast, a podcast about basketball in Marin County. And I am Duffy Ballard. Here with me is Coach Levine. What's going on, Dave?
Duff, lovely to be here. Just going to give it 110%. Going to take it one day at a time, do what I can to help the ball club today.
Yeah, as you always do. And watch out, when Dave gives 110%, there'll be some needing to wipe down the sweat off the hardwood. Guaranteed. He's a big sweater.
Aggressive sweater. This is true.
Okay, well, we're going to move on with a thank you to Stroke 9 and their classic Marin that they actually wrote and recorded at Marin Academy when they started back in 1990 there at Marin Academy, Stroke 9. So thank you, Stroke 9. They have a show coming up at October 14th at Hot Monk in Nevada.
Love Stroke 9. I was at their Hot Monk show last year. It was a rockin' good time. Great band, great people. Luke, good friend of ours. So everybody go check them out. Mm-hmm. They're fun. Just like there aren't that many pro basketball players, as we said about Tom, there aren't that many Marin County natives who are legit rock stars. And Stroke 9 is on that list.
Yeah, that's a different podcast. We could list, but...
We could.
Maybe that's our follow-up podcast after this one tanks.
I think it's Jerry Garcia and Luke, and that's it. I can't think of anybody else. No, there's more. But let's move on, Duff.
All right, well, we are on to episode 2, Dave, and we pretty much defied the odds by moving past episode 1 and the pilot. We're going to call this another pilot, and we're going to keep piloting until we get it right. And we recognize that Fulton episode and interview was great, and that we got a lot of rave reviews from the half dozen listeners. But we think this is going to be a pretty good episode too. We're going to get into that. Our guests, we have 2 guests today. We've already recorded their interview. It was really good. But first, let's do our little intro segment, and we're going to banter a little bit. Dave, time to banter.
Let's banter. I'm ready to roll. The iced coffee's here. It's a thing. Duff, you and I played some pickup hoops this morning. Everything hurts right now, so it sounds like kind of a normal Saturday for us. So how are you doing today, my friend?
Yeah, I actually feel pretty good considering that we were playing against the Archie Williams boys varsity team, and they are very fast, and they Velcro the heck out of you on screens, Dave.
I got Velcroed a number of times today. I also missed multiple shots from the nail.
We tried to hit you at the nail.
I
did not nail it.
I did not nail at the nail. So listeners, if you are scratching your head, what the heck are these guys talking about, Velcro and nail, we encourage you to listen to episode 1 because we covered this.
And we cover iced coffee, and we got the iced coffee again today, Dave. This time I have a spoon, so it's
fantastic.
Nice for clinking. All right, let's see. So we're going to start this intro with, as a reminder that during the season, once it starts, we're going to give some game updates, some scores, some players of the week, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But for now, we're in the preseason. There's not as much going on. We could travel around to AAU ball. In fact, we are traveling around to AAU ball, but we're not sure that giving the scores and highlights of these tournaments in Benicia and Fairfield and wherever, Fairbanks, Alaska, is worth it.
Not compelling copy for our listeners.
Yeah. So we're going to start with some fall updates, and I think, Dave, you're going to talk about some of the rule changes coming up, and then also a little bit about what's going on right now with the fall ball without getting into too many specifics.
Yeah, so one thing we thought would be useful to cover for our listeners, some of you may have heard about this, but there is one pretty big rule change that's going into effect. It's actually going into effect across the country for high school basketball. The CIF, which is the California Interscholastic Federation, which governs the rules for California high schools, adopted this change as well, but it's going out throughout the nation. So assume most of our listeners understand what the bonus is in basketball, but just real quick, when a team commits a certain number of fouls and a half, every common foul beyond that number, a common foul being a non-shooting foul, so like a reach-in or a block, results in the other team shooting free throws, right? And so for our whole lives, Duff, up until this season, The bonus was reached when a team would hit 7 fouls and a half. So the 7th foul and beyond, the other team, if it's a non-shooting foul, would shoot 1 and 1. So they would shoot 1 free throw. If they make it, they get another one. If they miss it, it's a live ball. So this rule has changed. So now teams will shoot 2 free throws automatically on any common or non-shooting foul once the other team is in the bonus. Whereas previously it was a 1 and 1. The other big change is that the bonus is now hit when a team reaches 5 fouls in a quarter. And then the fouls reset at the end of each quarter, as opposed to 7 fouls in a half. So it's interesting. The National Federation of High School Sports, or NFHS, released a statement and a quote, which I will read because you wonder, okay, what drove this change? And they said, the Rules Committee studied, this is a quote, the Rules Committee studied data that showed higher injury rates on rebounding situations and saw this as an opportunity to reduce opportunities for rough play during rebounds. Additionally, resetting the fouls each quarter will improve game flow and allow teams to adjust their play by not carrying foul totals to quarters 2 and 4. Duff, what are your thoughts on this rule change?
Yeah, a little hard to say. As a viewer of college basketball in particular, but also the high school game, it is kind of exciting when you get in the fourth quarter and maybe it's a 6-point game and you're in the 1-on-1, and of course they're shooting the 1-on-1 3 times, and then it moves on to double bonus. But it always allows for the miss and the quick down the floor and a 3, and suddenly it's a 3-point game. So that's not going to be there, and maybe injury considerations, maybe flow of the game, maybe there's less fouling. It's hard to say. I think what I've noticed in our league game, or where Dave and I play over 35, really high level over 35 basketball, which means we kind of trudge up and down the floor and throw it into our big guys and let them score. But what I've noticed is that under these rules they've just implemented in the fall, that teams can go into like a 4 corners offense with the lead 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and it's pretty hard to come back. So I think, but it's a running clock, a little bit different, than the high school game. But call out to Silver Peso. They went into 4 corners with essentially 13 minutes left in the game with a 6-point lead, and they were I'm exaggerating, but yeah.
But we're not bitter.
We're defending champions, right, Dave?
Exactly.
Yeah, Silver Peso, if you're listening.
Yes, we love you. Yeah. But yeah, it will be interesting to see how this plays out. I've talked to a bunch of coaches, and what you said, Duff, I agree that coming back will be tougher because historically, if teams weren't great free throw shooting teams, the 1-and-1 was really tough for them, and the team trailing would get the rebound and go. Here, when you get 2 shots, it just gives you a better chance to at least get 1 point on that trip down the floor. So, you and I are both coaching high school this season, so we will observe firsthand the impact of this new rule. And so throughout this podcast, every week we can kind of check in and see what changes we're seeing from the games. But so beyond that, here we are in the middle of fall. The regular season for high school and CYO hoops begins late October, early November. Actually, I think October 30th is the first day of practice for high schools in the state of California. So right now we have some kids are playing fall sports, obviously, but the hardcore hoopers are playing fall AAU, as you said, or club basketball. A reminder, here in Marin we have NBBA, 24/8 are 2 of the most prominent club or AAU programs, and they're both fantastic. And I see a bunch of kids are playing either one, or even some kids are playing for both NBBA and 24/8 and getting a lot of games in on every weekend. I'm coaching 2 teams. 2 girls teams, and it's been a lot of fun to see the kids work hard and improve and get in shape. And that's one thing I wanted to talk about. It reminds me of a saying from Gino Ariema, who's the fantastic UConn, University of Connecticut women's coach, has a great saying about this. But actually, Duff, I should ask you, any guesses on how many Final Fours and championships the UConn women have won under Gino Ariema?
This was a planned quiz, wasn't it, Dave?
No, this is totally spontaneous. And
You're pimping me. So my answer is 73, because they seem to win it every year, sometimes twice a year, but at least yearly. They're in it.
You're not totally off. So the real answer is Gino has taken them to 20 Final Fours, and they have won 11 titles, which is just ridiculous success. So this guy knows how to coach and how to win. And his saying that he always says, and I say this to my players all the time, is, quote, "Great players don't get tired." And that really is, I think, one of the key distinctions between good players. There are a lot of good players. There aren't that many great players. And being in shape is a huge part of basketball, to state the patently obvious stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you look at Steph Curry, it's, I think people recognize that. It's been talked about and written about in terms of what a phenomenal athlete he is, how much he runs over the course of the game, and how he's always ready to, even though he's just sprinted for 100 feet, that back and forth zigzag, he's still ready to collect the ball and execute his shots, sometimes from 30 feet. I mean, that just takes an incredible level of fitness. And I see some guys in our program at Archie, like Owen Bugas. Man, that guy never stops. He's just in phenomenal shape. So this is the time of year to get in shape. If you're out there, if you want to play high school ball, get after it.
Get in shape. And Steph is a perfect example. So anyway, fall hoops is about getting in shape in addition to working on your game. And the kids who are playing other fall sports, as we've talked about, like Fulton mentioned this, his dad was all about getting him to play multiple sports, tennis, soccer, lacrosse, volleyball, golf, whatever kids are doing in the fall. That's great too. Perfect way to get ready for hoops. So anyway, moving on, Duff, I think it's time that we shared a word from our fantastic sponsors, right?
Right. Let's roll into the sponsor segment. This will not take too long. Do you know why, Dave?
I'm guessing we don't have any sponsors.
Still no sponsors.
Still no sponsors. Okay.
But we still do have a sponsorship package, and we think it's pretty clever. We have different levels of sponsorship. We've had the layup, the mid-range, beyond the arc, the take the charge, and we're probably going to come up with other levels as well.
Sure.
But if you're interested, now you can reach out, and we'll share the package with you, and you'll have an opportunity to have, potentially, Dave and I read the advertisement about your business on the podcast every week and do it in dramatic fashion.
It's like, who was it? The NPR guy, Carl Castle. There's that Wait, Don't Tell Me weekend show, and the prize for winning for the callers is to have Carl Castle leave your voicemail message back.
Right.
People don't really know what voicemail is anymore. But sponsors, as the wise one, Carly Rae Jepsen once said, "Call me maybe, please. Call us. We're here."
Okay. Good stuff, Dave. Call me maybe. I did not predict that she was going to make it onto the podcast, and here she made it second episode.
I mean, it's a Carly Rae Jepsen kind of podcast.
All right, we're going to move on to the segment on basketball glossary, basketball dictionary, the language of basketball. And last week we talked about the nail and Velcro, and we already worked those in earlier in the podcast. So hopefully you're in the know now. We're not going to review these terms. You're going to have to go back and listen to the first episode if you didn't get it. So we're going to move on. We each have a term today. Dave, you want to start?
Would love to.
Well, I'm going to have some iced coffee. Okay?
I think you should. Glad you asked, Duff. So the term today, this is more of a deep cut, Duff, but I think it's a good one, is floppy action. So first of all, when you hear the word action in the context of basketball, it essentially means an offensive framework. So you'll hear Zoom action, Chicago action. We're going to talk a lot about different actions over the course of this podcast, and you'll hear it in jargon. So floppy action is a very popular offensive framework that's used. I see it in the NBA and WNBA all the time. It's used in colleges, and it's even used at the high school level. And in fact, I mentioned I'm a Branson grad, and I played for Jonas Honick, and I'm good friends with Stevie Johnson, and Jonas and Stevie coached there for years. And they would run floppy action when they had a guy named Peyton Malarkey, fantastic point guard who's a really good shooter. This was a couple years ago.
He's a Sagen now.
That's right, a
Pomona Sagen. And shout out to Chris Ballard, my brother, Pomona Sagen.
There you go. Greg Popovich, former coach of the Sagens. Anyway, so Jonas and Stevie had a great system. They would run very simple plays, and floppy action, I'm going to explain it. It's not hard. It's very simple framework, but really good, particularly if you have a shooter like a Peyton. The Warriors run it with Steph. You see WNBA teams run it with Kelsey Plum or Diana Taurasi. Caitlin Clark at Iowa runs it, this Dame Lillard. So anyway, here's how it works. You have a player up top. The point guard has the ball at the top, bringing the ball up. And then you have a post player at one block and a post player at the other block, right? And I assume everybody knows where the blocks are. And then you either have two wings under the basket, or you could, typically the way teams do it is they have a double stack on one side and a single post player on the other side, and one player under the basket facing out, and that is your shooter. That's Steph Curry, that's Caitlin Clark, that's Dame Lillard, Ja Morant. And really, this is a read and react sort of structure. So the player under the basket gets to choose. He or she can go left or right. He or she can use the double screen on one side or the single screen on the other side. The defense doesn't know which way they're going to go. Nobody knows which way they're going to go, right? And then the rest of the team needs to react. So if the player uses the double screen, the point guard will go over to that side, potentially feed the ball to the shooter coming off the double screen, or maybe it's a decoy and the double screen then goes and sets an away screen for the other post, and that sets up a nice post situation, or we have a seal. So it's a read and react kind of a structure. It's called floppy action because it gives the player a choice. And read and react is an important term in and of itself. Players are not robots, right? So coaches can draw up these great complicated structures, but players need to read and react to what the defense is doing. And that's what this kind of action promotes. And I heard a great interview with Lindy LaRoque, who's an ex-Stanford player. She played for Tara after I was there, and is now the head coach at University of Nevada, Las Vegas, UNLV. And she said, we don't run offense to run offense. We run offense to score. So even though they have different sets and frameworks for their players, they want their players to be looking to score and not just to run the offense. And so I think floppy action is a great representation of that.
And it's a great and very popular way to have your hair these days if you're a teenager.
I'm noticing
a lot of floppy action, especially with my son Holden and his buddies. They all have a little floppy action going.
That's a really great point. I mean, you and I with sort of the high and tight look, we're not in vogue on the hair side. So good point. Duff, do you have a term for us today?
I got something, yeah, not quite as technical. This is more a basic. I'll have to turn my laptop onto focus, Dave. There we go.
That's fine.
Yeah,
the dings are pleasant.
Right. I mean, we have distractions. That's part of our shtick, right? I mean, so cheers.
This is an authentic podcast.
So
okay, what's your term?
All right, two terms. Players and coaches, almost certainly, especially high school level, I've heard of these. They are the blob and the slob. Okay, so the blob stands for baseline out of bounds, and then if you are putting in a blob play, it's essentially a play you're putting in underneath the opponent's basket. And people will debate, we've had this debate with others, whether the goal is to design a play that scores or design a play that just gets the ball in and doesn't turn the ball over. Maybe we'll do that another day. But for the time being,
it's a long debate, Duff.
That if you hear blob, it's the baseline. If you hear slob, it's the sideline. So you're in the opponent's half court, and now you're running a play, but you've come out of a timeout. This could be an end of game situation. So you have the ball, 5 seconds, 6 seconds to go. You want to get a good look. You're calling your slob play. Usually teams will have maybe between 3 and 5 blobs and maybe 1 or 2 slobs that they have ready to go at any one point. We had a great one that we ran a lot with our CYO program last year with Tom Poser and Scott Tachiki, called Circle. Very simple action. I won't chalkboard it for you, Dave, but essentially it was a visual slight that kind of took defenders' eyes off of the guy that they didn't think was coming to the basket just for a second, and then it would result in one or two, I'd say at least 2 layups a game. Whether we made them or not, that was another question, but we got layups off of it. So yeah, that was, we call that Circle. And yeah, blob and slob.
Love it. Great stuff.
All right, so okay, it's time for us to do the intro part of the intro where we intro the interview.
Let's intro the intro. Yeah. So we actually spent, a good amount of time in this interview talking about both the backgrounds of both of these gentlemen, but we'll do a quick one here, and I wanted to hit on a few things. We both wanted to hit on a few things. So first of all, our guests today are Tom Poser and Jon Granucci. Both are Drake High grads from the mid-1990s. Yes, listeners, if you're scoring at home, that's 2 podcasts, 3 guests, all Drake grads. Duffy and I promised that we will diversify our high school representation going forward. We will not only have Drake grads on this podcast, but these are 3...
Well, it's a challenge to others to answer our invitations to come on the podcast, right?
This is true. Right. This is true.
If you want to rep for Novato or San Rafael, answer our calls.
There you go. Gauntlet thrown down. So these are two fantastic people. I think that shines through in the interview. They both happen to be great friends of ours, both mine and Duffy's. But more importantly, they're phenomenal basketball players, amazing coaches, and just really great ambassadors of the game. And if you're involved in the fabric of Marin basketball and have been for years, chances are you know these guys. And if you don't know them or if you're not from Marin, I think their stories and their perspective is really valuable. There's one thing I wanted to point out about Tom, and then Duff, you can talk a bit about Jon Granucci, or Nooch as we call him affectionately. But we allude to this in the interview, but then we didn't really get back to it. That Tom, after his playing days in high school and college, where he walked on at UC Santa Barbara and played Division I basketball, high-level Division I basketball, he went on to play pro ball. So he played semi-pro ball in Kansas. He played pro ball overseas, and that's not a small thing. I mean, to actually play professionally anywhere in the world there's a very small number of people who can say that, and Tom is one of them. So really a great player, and in addition to that, the last 20 or so years, just a fantastic coach, unbelievable with kids, teaching footwork, but then also just motivation. Really a great, really fun coach to watch and just listen to. I learned from him a lot. We've coached practices together. So I'm a huge fan of both Tom and Jon. And Duff, you can say a little bit more about our friend Granucci.
Yeah, well, much like the podcast, I think we're just gonna shut Nooch out a little bit here. I'm gonna talk about Tom.
Yeah, let's just do that. Forget that Nooch guy.
No, I totally agree with you about Tom, and I just have to say that I've coached with Tom here for a number of years, and he is an amazing coach as well as an amazing player, and I've learned a lot from him both playing and on coaching. But Nooch, also an amazing player, a favorite teammate of mine, does everything right. We talk about this in the podcast. They talk about it, so I won't go into too much detail before they talk about it. But one thing about him as a coach, and I haven't seen him coach as much, but he comes very prepared. He's very meticulous. He has his notes, and he's a perfectionist on technique. I saw him do a progression with our 7th graders a couple years ago on defensive technique. And it was perfect. And he stopped, at every point along the way where you had to stop to make sure they got it right. And he commands the respect when I've seen him run clinics that the kids listen, which, it's easier said than done to get that when you're coaching. It's a big challenge. So Nooch, just a first-rate guy and really good coach player. He also, during the podcast, he's a very polite individual. And we had some bacon, as you recall, Dave. We had some bacon available.
We sure did.
And Nooch grabbed a piece of bacon mid-podcast, and then he was holding it in his hand, and then he wasn't sure whether he should take a bite or not because he didn't want to disrupt our audio. And as we know, we don't really care all that much about our interruptions. But he held the bacon probably for a good 10 minutes.
I was distracted. If my questioning seemed a little odd, it's because I was just staring at that bacon in his hand, wondering what he was going to do with it.
What was he going to do with it?
Yeah.
So fantastic individual, whole family, first class. They really are, Granucci family. So we'll probably have them more touches with them on this show moving forward, I would imagine.
Absolutely. So without further ado, I think we should get to the interview, and then
move on.
We can recap after.
Enjoy the interview.
All right. Welcome, guys. It's great to see you. Tom Poser, Jon Granucci.
Dave, always good to see you.
Great to be here. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
I love being the shortest guy in the room.
I'm excited for your
Although
podcast.
you're in the tallest chair right now, so you are looking down at me.
It's my stature's pretty good right now.
Question: Duffy's over there.
Yeah.
You're not in the conversation. Are you going to participate today?
Probably not.
Oh.
I mean, you can know that I'm in the room. You maybe sort of, if you want to
Okay.
talk about me in a favorable manner, you can mention and you could sort of look over. But if not, it seems simpler to only have 3 people involved.
Sure.
Tom, do you have other observations about the room? Anything else you want to say?
Although I guess I am in the video.
Architecture.
Yeah. No, I like it quite a
Decor.
bit. Mid-century.
Okay. Tom and Jon, thank you guys for joining us. It's great to chat with you. You both have what I think are really interesting, compelling stories about your basketball lives, but they are not traditional stories, and that's why we thought it would be fun to have you guys on. So I'll do a quick background on each of you, and I'd like you to jump in and correct anything that I get wrong. But we'll go in order of height. So Tom's going to go first.
Great, I'm ready.
Tom is 6'7". So Tom, you grew up in Marin County,
Yes.
in the west, on the west side.
San Anselmo, Fairfax.
San Anselmo, Fairfax.
Yes, sir.
You played CYO basketball growing up, but you were multiple sports, right? Tennis.
I played every single sport because I think back then we all played every single sport. It was the seasonal approach to sports. There was no travel, anything, from my experience anyway.
Right.
And I played a little bit of basketball, but I only played 2 years of CYO.
So interestingly, and not to jump ahead, Tom played pro basketball. Just to get to the bottom line here, there are not many people in the world who can say they pulled a paycheck playing basketball. Tom is one of them. Tom, in CYO, you were on the B team, right?
Well, John and I debated about this because I remember being on the B team and not playing, but John reminded me that we only had one team, and also I didn't play on that team. So John was the star of the team. He was unique and special and very talented at a very young age, and I was not.
We'll get to John. John, just drink your coffee over there. Okay, so
yes,
bad
at basketball is the
bad at basketball.
storyline. That's right.
Go to high school at Drake, and listeners, I promise we will have guests who are not Drake High grads. We're 3 for 3 on Drake grads now in our first 2 episodes, but Drake is, as we've said, the mecca of basketball in Marin for many years. So Tom went to Drake, and you were a JV player through your junior year. Is that correct?
I was on the freshman team my freshman year.
Yep.
And again, did not play very much. My sophomore year, I tried out for JV, and I was cut. I did not make the JV team as a sophomore. And I offered to carry the bags and be a ball boy, and with the idea that I would earn my jersey. And halfway through the season, I asked for and was given my jersey. So I played the second half of my sophomore year on JV. And then my junior year, there was a group of us juniors, including Johnny, he was clearly varsity, so he played varsity as a junior and played. I was one of the juniors that stayed down on JV, and I did very well that year, as you might imagine, being a junior on JV. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
but, we, again, our listeners we're talking to players, parents, youth players, high school kids. People are so hung up on, got to make the A team, got to make varsity. You're someone who played pro basketball in your junior year when most players are going to play varsity. You play JV. You didn't say, crap, this sucks. You made the most of it. You dominated. And then your senior year, you're on the varsity. You're a contributor to a team that wins the Northern California Championship, right?
Yeah, and I think when I was a little bit younger, I used to sort of brag about playing Division I or playing pro. And now that I'm sort of coaching and teaching and running some CYO programs and mentoring young people, I've sort of changed that story, not to being the successful side of it, but more the perseverance and resiliency side of it.
Right.
And often I am the guy often having to talk to a young person and saying, hey, we're going to put you on the B team this year. Those are very hard conversations because everyone wants to be on the A team.
Right.
But you can't get better sitting at the end of the bench. And the JV as a junior thing for me was a B team thing. I did not make varsity. The other way to look at it is I got cut from varsity. And I had an incredible season. I learned how to play basketball because I got to shoot and score and run and touch. And I'm convinced that had I been on varsity that year, I would have never advanced beyond that point because I would have been at the end of the bench and never played. So that was, you have these breakout years. For me, across 30 years of basketball, that's 40 years of basketball.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
We're old. Yep.
Right. I've got, 3 of those years were breakout years in like an advancement of your basketball skill set. And that was my first one in my sort of lineage. So.
And I'll just really quick too, but part of that, Tommy, I think is your approach to that. You set ego aside. You really understood where you were in your development, and you accepted that. I think you could have made that varsity team, but probably, as you said, maybe not have played as much, but didn't develop. But because you put that ego aside, you understood where you were, you accepted that. That allowed you to take off in that year. So it was kind of how it played out, but also to how you approached it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think what I don't talk about, what people don't see is like the tremendous amount of work I was doing on the side in order to get better. It wasn't just like, hey, older kid, junior, playing JV. That's when I started that you have to run hills, you have to run stairs, you have to lift weights, you have to play one-on-one against older players. In the summers, we'd coach Pirate Camp, and I would challenge Mike Hayward to one-on-one at lunch every day. And he would just crush me consistently forever. And that, to your point, I'm trying to be this great player, and I'm choosing to get my butt kicked in front of the entire camp every single lunch until I finally got him, right? And I remember the moment I got him. It was a special day, right? So
how old were you?
I didn't really get him until I was out of high school.
Yeah.
I was playing junior college at City College of Santa Barbara. I must have been 20. And obviously he is 10 years older.
Yeah, for our listeners, first of all, we throw out Pirate Camp. Drake High School has summer camp. It's still there today. It's called Falcon Camp because Drake is now Archie Williams Falcons. It's a day basketball camp over the summers. John and I met there when I was in 4th grade, I think. John was in 3rd grade. Tom and I met there. Every kid in Marin has either gone to Pirate Camp or knows somebody who went there. And it was run by Pete Hayward, who was a longtime Drake coach, won state title. We talked about Pete with Mike Fulton and his son, Mike Hayward. Phenomenal player, played at University of Washington, was freshman of the year in the Pac-10, and Tom kicked his butt when he was 20.
No, barely finally edged by him. But he was on his now that I'm older, I understand the start of the decline, and I was on my way up, and I was hungry and hunting. And look, he's the greatest. I think he's probably the greatest player to ever play, Drake / Archie, statistically in state titles and
unbelievable. Yeah.
So he's that guy that should kick your butt forever, and he did. So but that's part of the journey. I think is you pick someone out who's significantly better than you at basketball, and you play them as often as possible.
But this is a cool theme, and Johnny, I promise we're going to get to your background too. But it's a great theme for all of us. Tom, just like when we were with Fulton, we talked about Doug DeVore, Buck Chavez, two unbelievable players. All of them played pro. Not great high school players, decent high school players. Really blossomed after high school. Same can be said for you. So you get out of high school, you play junior college ball at Santa Barbara.
Well, I was at UCSB, and I tried to walk on. It did not make it my freshman year.
Yep.
And I was on the water polo team. And then my sophomore year, I tried to walk on. It did not make it. And I went into a little bit of a basketball mental downhill spiral.
Yeah.
Call it depression. And I was committed. I really wanted to play Division I basketball. And so I transferred to junior college. And I played I went there halfway through. Anyway, I played a season at City College. And it was a lot like my junior year of high school. I did very well. One step below where I wanted to be playing.
Right.
I was a little bit older than those guys. I was way more committed. Just like it was so important to me. So it went well. It was a good season.
Then you went back to UCSB.
Then I went to Davis. I got recruited to Davis, which was Division II. I was there for 2 weeks. Started practice. And then decided I wanted to go back to Santa Barbara and play Division I. So I left Davis.
Yep.
One of the hardest conversations I've ever had is going to the coach and saying, "Thank you so much. I got to go."
Yep.
That Davis team went on to win the Division II national championship.
Right.
So I was not missed.
Somehow they found a way.
They figured it out. What's the minus leads to a positive.
Right.
And then I went down to Santa Barbara, and by that time, this was now my 4th year of college. I made the team as a walk-on, and it was a little bit of luck. They had a spot.
Yeah.
They needed a big guy, and it worked out great.
And it was Coach Williams who came from Davis to Santa Barbara.
Yeah, so that was.
So you had a conversation 2 years before saying, "I don't want to play for you."
Yeah.
Now you're saying, "Can I play for you?"
Right. Yeah. So Bob Williams,
Yep.
legendary coach, one of my favorite coaches ever, if not my favorite coach ever. Yeah, he won the D2 title without me at Davis, and then I caught Jerry Pimm's last year. So Jerry Pimm was the most famous coach in Santa Barbara history.
Coach Brian Shaw.
Yeah, they beat UNLV.
Yep.
legend. And his last year was my junior year, first year at Santa Barbara. I played 6 minutes that year. That's not per game, but in total.
Okay.
Yeah. And then my senior year, here comes Bob Williams. So Pim out. We had a 7-22 year, and it was time for Pim to walk away. And they recruited in Bob Williams. And so now the guy that I walked away from, I got to have a hard conversation. I'm a walk-on. I'm not valuable at all. But I said to him, "Hey, coach, looks like we both made it to the Division I level. Chasing our dreams together, brother." And he laughed. And what I was, and this is something I tell the kids. What I was not a scorer or a player, and I did not play very much my senior year. But I was a practice player, and I was a scout player, and I ran into people and knocked them down and rebounded. And all those things you have to be when you're not a star. I tried to represent while at UCSB.
Awesome. That's a great segue into, and we're going to talk about your post-college playing a little bit, but that's a great segue into our friend Jon Granucci here sitting next to you. Because when I think of players who I've watched and played with, Jon is someone who just does everything right on the court. He is not a 25-point-a-game star. He's not flashy. He just does everything right, and that's because he has lived his life playing basketball. And there's nobody, all four of us here, Duffy's in the room as well. We all play together on an adult league team. No offense, guys. I love you all. My favorite teammate is Jon. Jon's 6'5". He does everything right. As I said, he plays defense. He can guard anybody, right? He can guard a point guard, can guard a post player. He passes the ball. He moves beautifully on the floor. He's unselfish. He's a great teammate. He sees things. So, Jon, let's talk about your basketball history.
Yeah.
Just like Tom's, not a straight line path that we typically see. First of all, you're one of 5 Granucci siblings.
That's correct.
All 5 of you played at Drake and were really good players at Drake.
Yeah, and I like to consider myself the worst out of the 5.
I disagree.
My 2 sisters played 4 years of varsity. My 2 brothers played 3 years, and I'm the only one that played just the 2 years. So they were more talented than me in at that time.
So talent's an interesting word, right? Again, I'm not BSing here. There's nobody I like playing with more than you because you do everything right on the court and you're an amazing teammate. But Jon is one of those guys he'll defend the best player on the other team. He'll take the charge. He'll make the pass that leads to the pass to the score. And your coaches saw that, right? So you were a starter, key contributor to a Northern California championship team that played in the state championship game, right?
Yeah.
Your brother Dave, 6'8", amazing player, played at San Jose State.
Right. He was on that team.
He was on that team as well.
Yeah, and actually as a sophomore started the second half of the season and that state championship loss.
Yeah.
Over me.
Over Tom.
To be clear, yeah.
That's right. Clearly.
Johnny was not just the captain of that team. By the way, that team was 32-4, and both of us could tell you all the details around the 4 losses. If you'd like to discuss.
That's
that.
okay. We're good.
But Johnny was more than the captain and a starter. He was the hard edge. He was the voice. He was the guy that would stick his face into somebody's face. When things get a little ugly, you need someone to set a hard screen and dive on the floor. That was Johnny. So he led by example, and we followed him. It was a very successful year.
Right, and I think too. I learned, as you described my game. I think I learned a lot of that during that season because we were so balanced and deep, and taking a step back, looking at what we needed from that team, and it kind of varied sometimes. Game to game. Sometimes we needed someone to score because it was hard to put the ball in the basket or something. We needed guys to defend more, whatever it is. You just kind of, I like to believe I look back on those games in that season to see, okay, how can I contribute today in a way that can be helpful? Because I think we knew early on we had something going.
Right.
And in that preseason, even in the first game of MCAL, we had MC at Drake, and we beat them by 35. and okay, gosh, this is the
Got this figured out.
And Marin Catholic we ended up beating them in the final, so they were the second best team in the league at the time. So we thought we were pretty good, and so we wanted to kind of see, obviously, how far we can go, and so that was kind of my approach.
Yeah. So talk about how basketball impacted your family. I mean, again, you got 5 siblings. You all play basketball. That's unique. I mean, we see a lot of, obviously there are big families everywhere, but the fact that you have 5 kids, they all have the same interest. They're all really good. What was that like?
It was funny. My father, who liked basketball, wasn't much of a player.
Yeah.
Played a little bit, pickup games. My mom was actually more of the organized basketball player growing up, and the women's game was much different than the men's game at that time. 2 dribbles and you didn't cross half court and all that kind of stuff.
Crazy.
But my father exposed us to basketball at an early age, and I remember sitting on his lap watching the NBA Finals, Lakers Celtics, and getting interested in it. And my brother Greg
Is the oldest.
Started playing, and we go to his games, and the first lab camp was at Kent Field, outdoor courts at the middle school, and my dad got my brother involved then, and my sister was watching, who wasn't old enough, and the day that my father dropped my brother off for the camp, Meredith, my older sister, goes, "I want to play," and asked Cap if she can get involved, and Cap said, "Yeah, come on." So it was just kind of that involvement, and watched a lot of basketball on television.
Yeah.
My brother's games. We go down to Drake. We watch all the those dominant Drake teams, and just kind of I guess I was studying without really knowing I was studying. I was just kind of watching the game to see how it was just being played, and I played CYO I think a year after. I think you were able to play in the 4th grade, but for some reason I didn't get started until the 5th grade. But because of my exposure to the game, I was further advanced in understanding basketball than the other kids. So I kind of, jumped right in, and it was kind of natural.
Great. Well, you've also been a phenomenal coach, and both of you have you're playing your high school, college. You guys have had a life of coaching basketball, right? And you're 2 of the best that I've ever seen in terms of motivating, leading kids. And really what I wanted to talk about with you guys is you're both really good at evaluating talent. So I thought we'd jump into that because, again, we're talking to, let's say you got an 8th grader who's listening to this, or a freshman or a sophomore who's trying to make a team. You 2 both have been in situations where you've been in a gym of 25 kids and you got to pick 10 to make a varsity team. Right, Tom, you've coached at the high school level. You've coached CYO for years. You've coached your own kids and other kids. John, you've coached high school assistant coach for Drake, Roseville. A lot of experience. What do you look for when you're evaluating players?
I think Johnny's more analytical and thoughtful on this stuff than I am, and maybe I'm a little more gut check, emotional, if that's a fair way to look at it.
That's funny that you say that, because I kind of look at a player's just approach, and you asked that question. I was thinking back on my time at Roseville, and we had our tryouts, and it was my 2nd season there, and we didn't have a point guard, no established point guard at the time, and the first day of tryouts, this kid comes in.
Sorry, for you listeners at home, point guards used to dribble the ball up and give it to somebody else.
That's right.
They didn't shoot 300 threes a season.
Way back in the day.
Right.
That's what it was like.
Exactly. And so this kid's early. He was winning every single line drill. He was always near the ball. He was, during breaks, he was engaged with other teammates. They were, he was encouraging them, but also too, you saw him had a rapport with each, or building a rapport with each teammate. And my brother, who was the head coach of that team, I suggested that keep an eye on this kid.
Yeah.
And he kind of came out of nowhere. It ended up being our starting point guard, and we had a pretty nice season. So I like to look at those kind of intangible kind of things. You show up, you work hard, you're passionate about the game, you work well with others. You can develop into a productive player that could contribute, and that is coachable, and coaches want to coach players like that, and players want to play with players like that. And so when you're looking at a team, like that's the team concept. How is a player going to fit into a team?
So speaking of intangibles, Tom, I'm going to steal something that you literally just said to us before we were recording this. You're talking about your kids showing up to practice. You have a sophomore at Redwood, freshman at Redwood. Say just walk into the gym, the coach is over there. Instead of walking the other direction, just walk up to the coach, give him a fist bump and say, how you doing, coach? I mean, those little things, right? Make eye contact.
Yeah, you got to remember that you are one of 14,000 million kids that they have to see today. They might have had a bad day. They have a real job. They're not thinking about you at all. You're not a superstar. There are no superstars. Obviously, there's some kids that are automatic A-team kids and automatic varsity kids, and you know who they are. But you have to set your brand. It's a little bit of a PR campaign. Yeah. You have to set a standard for who you are and who you're going to be viewed as across time. And first off, Johnny's answer was as good as answer I've ever heard on this ever. Yeah. That was perfect, right? That was beautiful, and I agree with all of it. Just real world examples on that. Redwood had what they call evaluations freshman year, and there's no such thing as evaluations, right? So I left work early. I called my wife. I said, hey, I'm taking Charlie to evaluations. And I just got 15 minutes in the car with him, and I said, listen, man, there are no evaluations. This is a tryout. This is the first impression. Yeah. So you got to walk in this gym early. It'd be good if you're already sweating. Your shoes better be on. I don't want to see your phone in your hand. You got a bunch of friends, and some of them are going to want to chat or look at their phones, and those are great kids, but you are going to stay away from those kids. And the first thing you're going to do is find all the coaches and say, hey, how are you? My name is Charlie. Fist bump them and walk away. You don't need to do anything more than that. And then you have to find a reason to dive on the court during this 1 hour you're in there. Yeah. I don't care what the reason is. Find a reason to be the one kid in the gym that hits the floor. And then your reputation for the next 4 years is hardworking. He's a dog. He'll hit the floor. You said it. When you walk in with your slides on, talking to your buddies, looking at your tiki-taki, you are forever that
your
kid.
facey spaces?
Yeah, that's right. You're forever that kid.
Right.
And I ran a tryout. Again, we don't call them tryouts anymore because we're a sensitive society now. Evaluations, which is fine. I get it. I'm on board with the terminology and the nomenclature. Yep. But I ran a fifth grade CYL tryout, and you know me, I'm a little too intense about this stuff, and it's a really serious tryout. And you know how it works, right? There's 40 kids in that grade, and we make one A team, and then we make 3 even B teams. Well, we already know everyone has a fair shot, but you already know the 6 or 7 A team obvious kids, and you already know sort of the 27 B team kids. There's this group of 6 in the middle. We call them the bubble kids, and you're either going to be A or B, and that's really where the whole evaluation is about. The secret sauce on evaluations is often it's just about 6 kids, 6 to 10 kids, and then you hope to get surprised. Right. And, there's this one kid, and he's always been sort of the bubble kid and the 10th kid. And I'm like, hey, this is probably the year he doesn't make it. And that's okay. And then in the evaluations, we're going 4-on-4, full court. He dives for the ball on one side, pops up, sprints and dives on the exact opposite sideline, pops up. And I said in the back of my mind, he's in. That's it. Because it's the 10th kid, it's the 9th kid. So don't I want the kid on the floor? Don't I want the kid who's first to the huddle? Right? Do I have to motivate the 10th kid? Right? So
hey, for our parents out there, if they're confused about diving on the floor and what that means. I mean, think about a game. Sometimes one possession is the difference between winning and losing a championship. And if there's a ball that's on the floor, we call it a loose ball, and someone leans over to pick it up, and somebody else dives on that ball, gets the ball, calls timeout, saves possession for their team, that leads to a basket, that leads to a championship. That one possession, that's why coaches love kids who will sacrifice their body, dive on the floor for that loose ball.
Well, and that's Johnny, right? And that's why we were so good in high school, because he wasn't just the leader and the voice and the captain. He led by example, and he dove on the floor, and he'd rip the ball out of people's arms. So those extra possessions. We had a game, was that NCS Finals, the big comeback game? We're flashing back, but we were down 12.
Oh, yeah, semifinals.
The numbers keep growing. But
Of course.
for today,
We were down 74 points. 2 minutes left.
we were down something like 12 in a minute 10 in an elimination game. I think it was NCS Finals. It was down in San Jose.
Semifinals could we beat, was it Cappuccino?
Vanden?
That's right.
Anyway, that game, you just do not come back from 12 down with a minute 10 without a tremendous amount of luck. They have to miss, you have to make.
Right.
But somebody's got to rip the ball out of someone's arms, right? So there's one play in the middle of that comeback. And I remember being conscious of like, are we really doing this right now? This is insane. You're fouling on purpose.
Yep.
They're missing free throws. You're hitting threes. Like, that's the rhythm, right? One time, though, the guy dribbles down the middle of the key, and this is a layup, time to foul. Johnny doesn't foul. He just rips the ball from the guy's hands. And that's the difference, right? That rip, if he fouls, it's a free throw, we lose.
Right.
Season over. But he chooses a different path. He makes a smart play and rips. And that led to us ended up in the state finals, right? We won three more games after that or something.
Just one more, and then state finals.
And that kind of stuff shows up when we're in evaluations and we see a kid sprinting down the court to get back on defense, or you blow the whistle or huddle up and the kid that sprints to get into the huddle, right? And instead of walking or kind of strolling, those little things, that's how those plays happen, right?
Yeah, and it's you get back to brand and reputation. So the current head coach at Archie Williams High School is a gentleman named Russ, right?
Great guy.
Wonderful.
Power.
I was running a clinic at Pirate Camp, Falcon Camp a couple years ago, and it's me yelling like an idiot in the middle of the court. You've seen me do this. I just sort of lose my mind and try to get everybody going full speed.
It's a good description.
Yeah, none of it really makes sense, but it's full speed. Right, that's the idea. And I'm yelling something ridiculous like, who wants to go? Who? Just full-throated passion, and there's probably 120 kids in the gym. And I'm trying to Jedi mind trick them. And I turn around and look to my right, and Russ is standing next to me, dripping wet, sweating. And I was like shocked, like, oh my God, there's someone else on the court. And it's Russ. And why is he sweating, right? But he's committed to me. He's committed to being in the moment, working as hard as he can, selling it, setting the example. Yeah. Right? And I will never forget that. And that's that sort of brand thing, I think, that matters a lot. So we talk to your kid, it's like, it's not dive on the court to trick a coach. It's just be the kid that dives on the court. Sure. Play that way. Yeah. Whoever plays that way plays better.
Absolutely.
We can sniff out fake hustle, can't we, Coach?
Yes.
So my coach in high school, Jonas Honick, who
Duffy Ballard.
we talked about.
I'll be back next episode.
Way to go, Duff. My Branson High School coach, Jonas Honick, legendary coach, multiple state titles. Fulton talked about him. Had a great saying that I still remember. There's one time in practice where I made some flailing attempt and I dove on the floor unnecessarily, and he said, "Levine, flamboyant yet ineffective."
Right. Which wins all day.
Yes.
It wins all day over lack of flamboyance.
Yes.
My hardest struggle, I think all of us probably agree on this, the hardest thing for me as a coach is to motivate someone who doesn't play very hard. And I haven't figured out how to do it. And I listened to your last podcast.
Yeah.
Fulton does it with love. The previous generation did it with
negative reinforcement or whatever.
That's the term.
Yeah.
And I've had kids in the third through, and I don't know how to do it. I've chosen love the last couple of years. Yeah. And Duffy Ballard is helping me with that because he has we coached together recently for the CYL, and he's got a real nice mentality to him. Johnny's got that same thing. Yes. Johnny calmly pulls a kid aside and has a real nice conversation. Yeah. I'm trying to learn how to be that version of coach because yelling at a kid to play hard who's not playing hard does not work for sure. So, you guys are both really good at teaching skills. So, John, you're I said last podcast, Duffy's the best shooter in Marin history. Johnny, you're up there.
You have a beautiful stroke, great shooter.
It looks good. Doesn't always end in good results.
Flamboyant yet ineffective. You walk into the gym, and the first thing that you do is you grab a ball and you stand 2 feet in front of the hoop with one arm, and you're working on your form.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this with Fulton, that kids today, the Steph Curry effect, they grab a ball off the rack and they go out to 32 feet and start heaving them up. And you literally with one arm, perfect form, and you do that for 5 minutes.
Yes.
And then you start stepping back, and after 10 minutes or so, now you're shooting. I want my kids to learn shooting from you. Tom, you are the best footwork teacher around that I've ever seen. You're amazing at working with post players. You're great working with guards too, but your footwork is unbelievable. So,
Thank you.
Skills training, right? And we talked about this with Fulton too. Skills training is really important, and working on shooting, working on footwork is great. You two both were forged. Your games were forged in the salt mines of the outdoor courts at Drake.
That's right.
Playing pickup against older, stronger guys who would kick your ass.
Right.
Is that lost in today's game? Like when you're looking at players today, we don't have the outdoor courts, the runs that we used to have at Drake High outdoor courts, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's obvious that, like, we asked Fulton this question, you know, what's the right combination? Half skills training, half playing pickup. What do you guys think? I mean, expand on that. Playing, because Tommy, you always talk about that playing pickup at the Drake courts. That's how you learn the game, right?
Yeah. Johnny?
Yeah, and for those that are 25 years and younger, it's not the one Drake court.
It's where the swimming pool is now.
Swimming pool used to is now. There was 4 courts there. On a Saturday and Sunday, you know, between 10 and 2, you have 2, 3, 4 games going all at one time, and guys are coming from all over the Bay Area to play in this game. And it was competitive, and there was always a run. And then in the during the week, like 4 o'clock, 4:30, guys would start coming down.
Yeah.
And it was great for me because I jumped in there when I was a little bit younger, and these guys were grown men, maybe not the best basketball players, but they knew how to play. They were big, they were strong. They knock you down. You learn how to kind of hold your own, carve out some space for yourself, and chance to develop areas of your game that you wouldn't otherwise. I like to kind of look at that opportunity, even going back, even if I were able to do it all over again, to be really more mindful of approaching those games as an opportunity to develop my skills. In the sense of, okay, today, I want to work on, getting the ball back to the basket and those moves, or how to get to the basket from the perimeter, or guarding a smaller guy, or guarding a bigger guy, or whatever it was, just something that I want to improve on, and just kind of focus on that.
I mean, one thing, Johnny, not to cut you off, but one of the things that I liked about those games were you guys were playing against players. You knew some of them, but sometimes you're playing with older guys who you don't know who they are. Ooh, the coffee's flowing. By the way, that's what we're doing.
Iced coffee, Dean.
Sure.
Nice.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
This is hot. Well, I'll take some coffee. Thank you.
So
Duffy Ballard, his second appearance.
Duffy's amazing. He's multi-talented.
Thank you, Duffy.
You got
Coffee recurring theme.
You got to figure out how to play with people you don't know, and that's one of the beautiful things about basketball. Is it's kind of this universal language where you can walk on a court in the middle of Croatia, and there are 9 guys and you're the 10th, and you got to figure it out, right? And you pass and screen away, you pass and cut to the basket, you play help side defense. It's this universal language, and those Drake outdoor courts, you're playing against these guys who you don't know, or women, and that builds your maturity. It helps you grow up, right?
Totally. And as you're saying this, it made me think too, is that you didn't get to choose who was on your team, and you would get maybe some knuckleheads on your team, but you had to win, because if you didn't win, then you were going to be off.
You're sitting out
for 2, 3, 4 games.
Exactly.
And so you couldn't sit there and complain that you're playing, with this selfish, the guy who's selfish or the guy who couldn't play or whatever. You had to figure out how to make that work. So that's a great point.
Yeah.
And it kind of, it helps with the team aspect and how to fit in the team and kind of what it is that you're looking for from a teammate and the teammate that you don't want to be at the same time.
Exactly. I mean, we see it with youth kids today in particular, but it's always been the case. They want to play with their friends, right? You want to be on a team with your friends, you want to play with your friends. And my view is, you know what? It's great for you to not play with your friends. I mean, I know it's awesome to be with your friends, but learn how to play with people you don't know, right? I mean, that's part of growing up, and it's a great lesson. And you guys are both extremely personable, friendly people. You're great in a room. I think that your guys' experience playing basketball against strangers your whole lives has helped inform that ability.
Yeah, 100%. You meet a tremendous amount of people through the sport of basketball. And I'd encourage you to attach as a appendix addendum to this podcast Duffy's email about basketballism, his end of the year diatribe. What is the book called?
David Hollander, How Basketball Can Save the World.
Right.
It's a great book.
Right. And it's specific to us, but in the basketball people, but it's not, right? It's about community and culture and connectivity and friendship and the number of friends that I've met from all kinds of different walks of life through basketball is incredible. So my journey to a lot of those people is basketball. I lived in Kansas, played in Kansas, and I spent Christmas in Joplin, Missouri with a very religious man who's now a pastor, and I stayed at his house over Christmas and went to church with him. And then I had a very different experience in some very different areas, with different backgrounds that were quite the opposite of religious, I'd say, along the way. So you meet people and you have to navigate that, and you have to be able to get along with them. And also, if you're the type of person that doesn't get along with people or you shoot too much, Johnny said you don't choose your teams at these pickup games, but sometimes it depends on the run. So pickup's sort of gone. I got that. Drop-in pickup is sort of gone. Now pickup is like rented gym, curated invite list, which is fine. But this is like, the Drake Outdoor Courts, very different from the Marina Courts in San Francisco. Those courts, whoever was up next had game. So I was the last guy not on the previous game. I have game. Right. Meaning I have the next game and I get to choose the four people.
Yes.
Generally, you just take the next four. But there is some navigation around, that guy shoots a lot. That guy doesn't play defense.
Right.
Your reputation follows you. And then, playing down in Venice, and my brother was a lifeguard in Los Angeles, and I'd go play those Venice courts, which is where White Man Can't Jump was filmed. That's a very different thing. This is not my hometown. I don't get to make choices at all. I'm lucky to be on the court.
Yeah.
And you start navigating around who's good, who should move the ball to, who do you avoid, and then also how do you avoid conflict? There's a lot of conflict avoidance in basketball.
Yeah.
And, I've been punched in the face a few times playing basketball, and you learn, maybe that's the wrong guy to be running into today. Yeah. Or maybe just be ready when the punches coming your way kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it does force you to grow up. And I like the idea a lot of playing with people you've never met. In those Drake Outdoor Courts, you had the lefty shooter Jake, who was like a sheet metal guy, right? And then you had Shaman, right? That was his name? Skinny, fast, aggressive. I could never guard that guy. But today you're guarding him, right? Yeah. And then you had pure shooters like Mark Liu was down there, shooting jumpers from the corner. And I had some really special days down there. And some days you just get run, get your butts kicked. One day down there, another sort of breakthrough moment for me as a player, not as no one else remembers this day except me kind of thing.
Right.
I'm down there, and the value of a cut, the value of a back screen, the value of a flare. There's all these things you can do on a basketball court that are very helpful. But how do you learn them, right? Who teaches you when to cut? We didn't have travel ball and personal trainers back then.
Right.
But I found myself on the court one day, and I was probably a sophomore in high school. And on the court with me was Paul Trevor, legendary, all-time defensive guru.
Played at Drake, coaches at Cal State.
His
LA?
Yeah. No, he's at Stanislaus.
Stanislaus.
Right.
His license plate was Dr. D87.
Yeah. And he would lock.
He was a doctor of defense, and he graduated high school in 87. And
yes.
he was great to watch.
But the rest of the team was Bucky Chavez, who's arguably the greatest player to ever come out of
Unbelievable.
Marin County that you would never know. He doesn't show up in the stat sheet, right?
Right. Played pro ball in Mexico.
Eddie Joe Chavez, who torched the dream team in the run into
the greatest player, according to Mike Fulton, the greatest player to come out of Marin, and I don't disagree with him.
Right.
I wouldn't question that either.
Right. Only superseded by his brother Bucky,
right,
who was the hardest matchup I've ever had. I played for years against Bucky and just never ever got him ever. Still is the only player that I could never ever figure out how to stop him, and he would just shut me down.
Yeah.
Even when I was at that 27-year-old peak and he was not anymore, he'd still get me.
Yeah.
And the last part of the court is Pat Sandel.
Unbelievable.
And it's like, and so just for your listening audience, the point of that is here's 4 incredibly gifted, hardworking, talented basketball players who play perfect basketball. Perfect basketball.
Pat Sandel's been a Division I coach for years. He's currently the assistant coach at University of San Diego under Steve Lavin, but he's been at Pitt. He's been at Northern Arizona.
Yeah.
He's had an unbelievable coaching career and was one of the most intimidating defensive players I've ever played against.
Oh, he'd block your shot, but he wouldn't block it. He'd just catch it.
Yeah.
And then he's gone.
Crenshaw High School.
So a little bit of spoken history here, spoken word history, because those are 4 people that are, Pat's not from here, the other 3 are. But the moral of the story is that day, if I would cut, I'd set a away screen and I'd cut to the hoop, and boom, the ball would just show up.
Yeah.
Like it would just show up in my hands. Like I don't know how it got there. I never experienced that before. And now I have a wide open lip. Now I probably have wide open lips because everybody's worried about
Eddie Joe. Yeah.
But those guys probably quietly never talked about it. But let's feed the kid. It was a feed the kid day, and so I had this epic all time for me moment. But what I learned that day was, you cut and you play good people, it shows up, and then you start cutting people up, right? And you start slicing apart defenses, and you find angles and separation and opportunity. And it never happens when you dribble the ball up and shoot it. It happens in this flow of basketball.
Well, when it works, when you're on the floor with a team, whether it's your high school team, your college team, or you're playing pickup at outdoor courts, and the ball is moving and everybody's involved and you're playing basketball the right way, there's no feeling like it. I mean, I think, what did they say, Duff? It's basketball alchemy in that David Hollander book. It's a great book, everybody. We're not sponsored by this book, but everybody should read it. How Basketball Can Save the World. It's a really special feeling. And by the way, we're talking about playing against players you don't know. After you spend 90 minutes sweating with those guys, now you're friends, right? Even if you battled each other and punched each other in the face, there's a mutual respect that you get from playing pickup basketball with somebody. Yeah. And that's how friendships are made and bonds are made.
And really quick, too, I think that also speaks to getting outside of your comfort zone. You know, you talk about playing with your friends because it's comfortable, it's familiar. And to get able to step outside of that, to really kind of test yourself, see what you're, capable of doing and growing in that way. If we stay kind of within our comfort zone, that's kind of where our game is going to remain. And so being able to, even just kind of saying hello to a coach or whatever it might be, just these little things that make us kind of, uncomfortable.
Recording a podcast.
Yep. Scary.
Exactly.
Scary.
Well, that's what Fulton was saying about Honeck, my high school coach. He would make practices uncomfortable and miserable and really hard because his philosophy was, if you guys can figure out how to get through this practice, a game is going to be easy for you, right?
Well,
and it's getting out of that comfort zone.
You can't get better without losing, and you can't get better without mistakes. And you've heard me say this a million times, but you can't avoid mistakes. You have to look for them and hunt them.
Yeah.
And you have to be in pursuit of mistakes. And the moment you start making intelligent mistakes that lead to improvement, then you start improving as a basketball player. And so kids come up, right? You get this question a lot. How can I get better? What should I be doing? And the answer is a million things. There's so much in basketball. It's a skill sport. It's not like just run faster. But the number one thing I always say is pick someone a grade, 2 grades older than you. And Fulton touched on this in his podcast. And by the way, Fulton, you should just do every podcast with Fulton. He's
pretty good.
3 state titles, all the above, right?
Yeah.
But that's it. Pick someone much better than you. Not so much better that you get beat 21-0. You want to lose, but not by that much.
Right.
And get your butt kicked because it comes down to like brain development more than physical development. I'm going to drive right. I got my shot blocked. Okay, well, next time I need 4 more inches on my release to get that shot off.
Right.
Okay, that means I got to go a little quicker, a little faster. Well, I'm not going to make that shot. And so then you go lose. And then you realize, oh, for me to score on this guy who's better than me, I have to go so much faster. I got to start with a much bigger fake. And then when I get there, it's not your practice reps. Johnny's got, I'm going to skip ahead here. Johnny's got a term, and it's not practice makes perfect. It's perfect practice makes perfect, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to commit to this perfection of your craft. But the balance between playing versus practicing, you play to discover what you're bad at, and you practice to improve the areas you're bad at.
Right.
So go pick an older brother. Go pick a kid 2 years older and just challenge him to one-on-one.
Yeah.
Now it's got to be committed, hard work, dedicated. You want 2 guys doing this who are willing to die on the floor kind of people. This is not what you see today, which is kids just playing one-on-one and shooting threes. It's just a different version that doesn't lead to improvement as quickly.
Totally agree. So we only have a few minutes left here. I could talk to you guys for hours, but I would like, Tom, first, I'd like you to quickly tell the Olajuwon story, because this is kind of a unique one. I mean, growing up, Hakeem Olajuwon was your absolute hero. You would watch videos of him. He was how you modeled your game after. And why don't you tell the story of what happened to you recently?
We'll give you an hour, Tom.
1 hour, got it.
Yeah.
Well, yes, Hakeem is my favorite player of all time, and I think he's the greatest big man of all time. Statistically, that's not true, but from a footwork and skill perspective, it's absolutely true.
Yep.
And I've modeled my entire existence off him. And I do several things on the basketball court well, several things not well. The one thing I do, the best thing that I do best is score on the low block.
Yes.
That doesn't translate to playing defense on the low block, unfortunately. So I found my limit along the way. But anyway.
You can set a good screen too, Tom.
Oh, thank you.
Velcro, can you Velcro a guy?
Hey, by the way, I've never heard the term Velcro until I listened to your podcast.
I mean,
You're welcome.
And I didn't know nail was to mark the court. So I knew of the nail.
Tom, we want to entertain, but we also want to educate and inform. Okay, tell your Olajuwon
I will
story.
tell you, I really Velcro that guy. He doesn't really sell what happened in that collision.
No.
Yeah. A little more violence than that, but I enjoyed that. So Chris Ballard, Duffy's brother, who's a journalist and a Renaissance man like Duffy and like Dave. You guys are very talented, educated, awesome people. He's a Sports Illustrated writer, and he's writing an article on the lost art of the big man. I call it the lost art of the big man. I call it the resurgence of the big man, although that's not what he labeled it as. And I got to fly to Houston. He was scheduled to interview Hakeem Olajuwon, the greatest post player of all time. And I was the gentleman who was lucky enough to be on the court. And Hakeem and I played one-on-one. We laughed. I cried. He made fun of me. He blocked my shot. He stole the ball from me. And it was the greatest 2 hours of my life. And I told my wife when I got home, I love you, baby. But that was the greatest day of my life. I got to meet my hero and play basketball with him. And I've been teaching kids how to play the way Hakeem plays forever, and I've never had anyone teach me how to play like Hakeem, because nobody does that.
Yep.
I've never had a post coach do that. It's always drop step, baby hook, drop step, counter.
So for you young players out there, you know how to Google. Duff, people know how to Google. You're going to go to Google, and the first thing you're going to do is YouTube Hakeem Olajuwon footwork, and just watch videos of him in case you haven't seen him play. But then I encourage you to Google Hakeem Olajuwon, Tom Poser, Sports Illustrated, whatever. Find the article. It's an unbelievable read. And it's not often that we get to meet our absolute heroes. I mean, that is a unique experience for you, and we were really psyched for you. And the article does a great job of explaining how you guys work together, and it's super cool. So.
Yeah, and we're making it sound like the article was about me and Hakeem. I was a small piece towards the end. It was about the big man and Jokic and Shaq and Hakeem and the art, and how it's really a narrative about how basketball shifted away from the basket.
Yeah.
But I snuck in there, which was an incredible moment for me.
Awesome. Okay, Johnny, we're going to go to the lightning round.
Oh.
No,
Let's do it fast this time.
The lightning round last time was not lightning. It was slow. It was like me trying to get to the basket.
Well, you've seen my game. I don't move very fast.
That's true. We're slow moving. Okay.
You guys are good. You guys are really fast.
John,
athletic.
what is your favorite gym in Marin County?
Oh, it's the Drake Gym. Even though it's been kind of had a facelift, but before all of the redos in that gym, you just walked in and it just smelled like basketball. Even after all the paint and this and that, all that, it still has that feel. Maybe I'm biased. I grew up in that gym.
Yeah.
I feel like that's my second home. So that is my favorite gym. Okay,
you have what's the greatest Marin high school basketball team ever?
It's got to be the A2 Drake team.
Tom, disagree? Agree?
I was going to go with the 1994 32-4 NorCal champion.
Tell us about those 4 losses. Do you have detail on that?
I was responsible for one of them, so yeah,
okay.
I'm happy to go in.
Let's move on.
And Mike said the 82 by far. I don't think there's any question. I thought we were pretty good. That 94 team too, Tommy. But maybe that's after 30 years of reflecting back on it and losing some of the.
There have been some.
Significance.
There have been some really good teams. I mean, Honeck had some amazing Branson teams. My team was fine. We were really good, but won a couple state titles with Oliver McNally. Those teams were pretty good, pretty athletic. Marin Catholics had some unbelievable teams over the years. So yeah, there've been some good teams, but I agree. I think the Drake one.
But the 82 team was undefeated, and were they undefeated the year before? Maybe they took one loss.
And one loss,
and then they would go on to win. Drake would go on to win
87 or 86 games and league games in a row, something like that.
Yeah,
and that's the birthplace for us, right? I know this is a Drake heavy, Archie Williams heavy podcast, but the truth is we were talking about blessed from a basketball perspective. We grew up at Pirate Camp being taught by the people who didn't lose a league game for 5 or 6 straight years. Those were the people. Steve Spencer teaching a defensive slide drill outside, short shorts, hairy legs, stance, right? Mike Hayward teaching post play at Pirate Camp. Like, you talk about opportunity and time, that doesn't exist for most people. We were very lucky.
And really quick, I know this is the lightning round and we're coming to a dead halt here, but we are really lucky because at that time, guys like Pete Hayward, he wanted to expose kids to the game and give them an opportunity to play. Yeah. If it was in their camp or if it was in the adult league and high school leagues that he had over the summer, that exposure was for everybody, just to have them be part of the game. And you 3 guys here are continuing that, and that's not everywhere you go. The game was taught the right way then. You guys are now teaching it the right way now. And these kids, if they know it or not, they will at some point. How blessed they are to have this opportunity. So,
well said.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Okay, final question in the lightning round, which is Duff. We're lightning through this, aren't we? Your dream team, you and 4 others going to play in the blacktop at Drake.
Oh, it's this room right here. It's the 4 of us. I've been super lucky to have a second life basketball resurgence, and our adult league team is full of people who cut and screen and dive on the floor, and we're over 45 diving on the court and committed to winning, and it's a really beautiful version of basketball. And we've got shooters and big men and screeners, and it's just I wouldn't dare test the karma of the basketball gods to say anybody but the people we're playing with right now. It's been a really good run for a decade now, right? We've been playing together.
Yeah, it's great. Basketball's a way to build friendships, which is what Duffy and I have talked about a lot. One of the reasons we wanted to do this podcast in the first place. And here we are in our mid to late 40s. Some of us are over 50, and we're still playing together. Yeah, it's still fun, and the amount of text traffic and email traffic and brain space that we use about thinking about these silly rec league games that happen on Tuesdays and Thursdays you'd be shocked.
Well, they're just as important to me as the 5th grade game with Johnny. 5th grade is 10. You're 10 years old in 5th grade, something right?
Yeah.
So Johnny and I started playing basketball together in '86, right? 1986. I don't know how many years ago it was, but it was a long time. And here we are, right? Having a cup of coffee and eating some bacon and talking hoops. So this basketballism, man, it brings you together.
And that, and I think about that all the time, and how blessed I've been to be able to play this game, but play the game with the people that I care about. Throughout high school, where I got Tommy and my brother's on the team, 2 of my cousins are on the team, and we end the game and we go out to somebody's house and celebrate, and then in some
iced tea, Pop-Tarts, some Pop-Tarts. Yep. Okay.
And in my adult life, I've been able to. I've wanted to keep playing and play with the people that I care about, and so in the Drake League or in the league that we're in now, just getting guys that are my buddies and my friends, and they just so happen to be great basketball players as well, and so it's been great, and I feel lucky because I don't think that's everybody's experience with basketball, and so so
awesome. Well, thanks you guys. As always, we could keep talking, but
I think we should, Dave. I think we should have them do their whiteboard, chalkboard moment.
Oh.
Don't you think?
Sure.
Whiteboard, chalkboard.
Yeah. Johnny, you're first.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means.
It means like you drew up one play. One great play that you drew up. We prepped you for this.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. I want to hear Johnny.
I know what Tom's is going to be, I think.
Do you?
I think so.
I think I know Tom's as well.
Yeah, it's isolation on the block. Everybody else run back on defense.
Yeah.
I got it from here.
Yeah, it's super great.
Really
it's exciting basketball.
Yeah, I haven't drew up a play in 25 years, so I'm the worst guy to ask this question. But I'll just go with Tommy's. I'll dump the ball into Tommy and go back on defense.
Yeah, that's great.
Because that's
we
usually how it goes. Because once he gets the ball, he's not going to pass it. So there's no reason to stay down there.
I'm learning how to be a good teammate.
All right, Tom, what's your chalkboard moment?
Well, you know what it is, Dave, and I'm glad you brought this up. It's a very important part of my life. Duffy and I coached an 8th grade CYO basketball team very recently. Season just ended last season. And Dave, you were not on the coaching staff, but you were secretly an assistant coach / head coach on that coaching staff. And it was, as you get older, you start living vicariously through the kids. And to get back to the idea that the ball moves around, when it moves around as a coach, it's even more rewarding than when it moves around as a player. And when you see it happen, it brings, I get a little emotional, I get a little teary about stuff like that, and I love it. So anyway, championship game against Marin City, Paul Austin. And I want to be here when you film the History of TAM podcast, if you don't mind, because that'll be fascinating.
Yeah.
The going back to Jerry Mack and Brian Murphy and Paul Austin and Kalani and all these guys, that's going to be a great day. So I hope you guys survive and expand into that territory because it's worth it. But anyway, we're playing my kid, Paul Austin, and I. Paul graduated 94 TAM. We played against those guys in high school, and his kid Kyron is the same age as my kid Eddie, and Duffy's kid Holden is on the team. Really special year. We're favored to win. We're really good. The kids are really good, I should say. Anytime you think you're a good coach, you flash back to Mike Saya, who told me recently, Tom, I've never seen a jockey carry a horse across the finish line. So if you don't have the kids, you're only as good as
what was the question again?
It's a lightning round.
I'm sorry. We're down 25-10 to start the championship game, and we're getting absolutely torched. And we crawl, climb, scratch our way back to it. And we need a bucket. We're down to with some version of 12 seconds to remain in regulation. And I drop a play, and in hindsight, I'll shortcut the story. It's a play that Dave Levine has stolen from San Domenico basketball, girls with Mike Fulton. So who wrote that play? You, Mike? Fulton wrote the play. It got transferred into Dave's brain, and it got transferred into Duffy's brain, and Duffy wrote up the play in the preseason, but he put it in as an early offense fast break, right, Duffy? Is that fair to say?
Fair.
And then somehow, I'm not a very bright man, I'm not as educated as you guys are, but it made its way through my thick skull and into my brain And then I had an epiphany, and I thought it was so bright and brilliant, but it came from Fulton to Dave to Duffy to me. So it's called 2.
Yep.
We didn't have a name for it, but we drew it up, and we put the ball in our best player's hands, dribbling, if you're facing the basket, from the left to the right side across the free throw line, right across the nail.
There you go.
And we had a staggered double screen, so there's a screen at the free throw line elbow, and we knew this team was going to switch everything, so we forced our first switch right there.
Mm-hmm.
They did like we wanted them to. They switched it. The guy that switched onto it next ran into our biggest player on the opposite elbow, big chase. We got what we wanted, which was the second switch. We told Oliver as he came over the second screen. By the way, that makes 1, 2, 3 players. The other 2 players are on the left side. We're keeping them out of the way. We want to hide a shooter in the corner left side.
Yep.
And then the 4th player starts on the right, cuts under the hoop as this is occurring, drags a defender.
Brings his defender. Yep.
Creates a little bit of chaos distraction at the rim. Just get someone to do the wrong move. Get someone to make the wrong choice is the idea. And then we tell Oliver, turn the corner after that second screen. And these are very smart young men. And we say, coming out of timeout, if you turn the corner and you got a layup, go. If you turn the corner and you do not have a layup, that means the switch occurred. We wanted flare out. The big man set in the second screen, rolled, hit him, Velcro level screen, Duffy, and rolled perfectly to the rim. And the dribbler flared out to the 3-point line, dumped into the big guy. But then my favorite part is he caught it. He calmly did a hop step, not a drop step, moved both his feet, banged his left shoulder into the defender to create a 45-degree angle. Shout out to Tachiki, our first Tachiki reference. And he kissed just a beautiful, soft, easy, right-handed layup off. So it was a culmination of this coaching tree, osmosis of plays into people's brains, but it's also, we're on year 10 of teaching Chase how to catch, run into your defender, don't hit him so hard you knock him down and get a charge.
Right, but draw the contact.
Yeah, it all sort of culminated in one little spot.
It was a great moment. One thing that Tom is humble, but early in that game when you guys were down 25-10 and it was just a buzzsaw, you called timeout, it's chaos, and all you're saying to your kids is, we're fine. This is good. We're fine. And a lot of coaches, like me, would be like, oh crap, what the hell's going on? Pull your heads out of your asses. You were just positive, next play mentality, and your kids just slowly dug out of it and figured it out. And little things make big changes in momentum in basketball, and you guys fought your way back. And then that last play was awesome. What I liked about it is after that game, you said, I saw that play somewhere. I think I was watching TV, and I said, no, you got that play from me.
That's right. And that's how basketball works. These things flow into you in some meaningful way.
Totally.
And I wish I had remembered that play and ran it 25 times prior to that. It just worked out great. We needed a bucket.
Yeah.
Put the ball in your best player's hands, but create a situation that allows them to have success, multiple options, right? And then you end up with your biggest player with the ball being guarded by one of their smallest players, right? That was the magic. That's the magic to that play.
Yeah.
You get a switch, and you end up, you have predetermined for them who will be guarding your biggest and best player on the block with the ball.
Yep.
You've structured it that way. That's that play, right? And if they make a mistake along the way and don't switch, you've got your best ball and they're coming downhill for a layup.
Well, at San Domenico, we ran it because we had still do have a really good point guard named Summer Jenkins who could handle it, come off a screen and pull up or drive. Mm-hmm. And we had a really good post player last year, Maya Sikoska. So that was what we wanted. We wanted that mismatch with we wanted them to switch. Right. And if they didn't, Summer's got a layup or a pull-up jumper. And if they switch, Maya's got a bucket.
Yeah.
And so that's, again, back to what we were talking about with Fulton, designing plays around your personnel, right? If you have a bunch of really good quick guards, but you don't have a big player where that switch is going to be a mismatch, that's not a great play for you to run. But with your personnel, Tommy, I mean, it was perfect with Oliver and Chase. So
yeah, and I wish coaches would do more of this. Forget the individuality of that play, but like we run that play called Hot Butter.
Yeah.
which is both guards opposite sides run through the key. It's just a bingo where both guards go through the key out the other side, right when the ball crosses half court with the point guard. And then the two post players set back picks for the first cut and down screens for the next cut. And what you've got now is all 5 players in motion, right? And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 screens happening before the first pass happens.
Yeah.
Someone's going to make a mistake defensively. So you've got what you want, which is motion and speed and chaos. And you've got a defense that doesn't know what's coming or where the screens are coming from. And the moment they figure it out, you go opposite with it.
Right.
Right? But to get back to your pickup versus skills, I like this training now of cones and chairs and all that, but you got to go out there and get hit, knock down, and run around. And that's my number one with these kids. You got to go play.
Yeah.
You got to play.
Learn how to make decisions.
And you got to play without coaches. Right? That's what's not happening. Playing in a gym without coaches is just not happening right now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. It's been fantastic. We might need to have a version 2.
We didn't even
Redux.
get to the player that Tom least likes having him guard him, right?
Yeah, hint. It's the guy sitting next to him, Jon Granucci.
Cut.
Thank you, Tom and John.
The odds of you guys recording this are about 25%, so we might just be starting over.
Right. All right.
Thank you guys.
Thanks,
Thank you
guys.
for having me.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks, Duffy.
Thank you. Fantastic. I'm still going. Now I get to talk to myself.
Good job, guys.
I realized I was eating bacon at the end there.
Hey, Dave, what do you think of that interview? That was...
I thought that was awesome. It's going to be a recurring theme that we're going to say, man, we could have talked to that guest for hours, but that one, I really felt that way. I thought it was a great conversation. I thought they both said some really insightful things. I love how Jon talked about playing in the outdoor courts and creating some space for yourself and carving out some space for yourself. And there's a physical side to that, but then also kind of an emotional side of figuring out where you fit within this group of people that you don't know. Being a young player playing against bigger, older guys, I thought that was great. I love Tom's story about playing in the outdoor courts as well with Bucky and Eddie Joe and just cutting and getting the ball right in his hands, even not knowing where it came from. So I thought it was really fun.
Can't wait to listen to it again.
Yeah.
And basketball is pretty unique, in my opinion. At least I'm biased. I think you are too. About it creates situations like that where you have to sort of figure out your role in a team in a way that other sports don't so much. And part of it is the nature of it being 5 people on the floor together and it being a very fluid game, positionless. We'll probably talk about this a lot more in the podcast. But I was glad to hear that come up and also hear Tommy talk about that play. And one thing as a coach, just watching Tom draw that up, sure, it was a play that had been somewhere had been in the background of our minds and we had maybe put in before, but he brought it out at the right moment with the right personnel on the floor for our team, but also the opponent. And that is something that is really hard to do, I think, because you can have prepared a play, you could have prepared a play against an opponent, but to be able to toggle to a play that is the right play in that moment against what the opponent has been doing that game, that really does require sort of thinking on the fly.
What Tom and Jon both do really well as players and as coaches is they slow down when things get chaotic. And it's something that I'm learning to do in my life is when things are hectic to slow down and not get lost in the moment. And that was a situation where it was a packed, loud gym. It was a championship. It was an 8th grade championship. Your son, Tom's son, Scott Chichiki, the other great coach on that team, their son, this is the last CYO game they're going to play together. There was a lot riding on that moment. You're down 2 with 12 seconds left, and Tom had the ability to slow down and think and find that play in the recesses of his mind and draw it up. And the kids had the presence of mind to slow down and execute it.
Yeah.
I thought that was super cool.
It's beautiful.
Yep.
All right, time to wrap it up, Dave. We have a new segment, the outro segment, and it's going to be called the Player Control Foul. And this is a segment where after we listen to an episode, we realize we weren't 100% correct.
We effed that up.
And that we're going to own up. So you have one and I have one.
I'm ashamed. I apologize. I mentioned with Fulton that Redwood was the only gym in Marin that had stands behind the hoops. I woke up in the middle of the night a couple nights ago in a cold sweat realizing, oh my goodness, Tam High has stands behind the hoop. And then I quickly went through all the other gyms. I don't think any of the other ones do. I apologize profusely if that's the case, but I want to apologize to the Tam High students, coaches, alumni, fans. I was wrong, and I admit it.
Written apology is on the way.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, good job owning up. I am going to call the player control foul on Dave, but really on me because he overinflated my shooting ability in the first episode. Now, I do like to shoot the ball, and it does go in sometimes, but I will have to relinquish the title that you tried to give me because yesterday I went 1 for 7 from the field.
Duffy, it's like the difference between weather and climate in the great climate change debate. You know, one day does not make a trend. You had one bad night or one day. You're still the best shooter in Marin, Duff.
All right. Well, we're going to have to keep working on this particular. I think Bobby Mitchell might have something to say about this.
Okay, we'll see.
We'll have to have him on, see what he has to say.
Be a good debate. So yes, this is a new segment. I'm hoping that we limit the content in this segment going forward, so we don't make any mistakes. But anyway, another great episode. Thanks again to Tom and Jon for sitting down with us and sharing their stories. I thought that was awesome.
And thank you for listening, sticking with us. This is the Run TMC basketball podcast, the Run the Marin County podcast.
Burke's on his feet. He looks up and gives me a grin and says,
Hey, dude, you too must be from Marin.